Artlist.io.
Podcast. We're just dropping in today to wish you a happy new year, make you aware that we're going to take a little time off. We're going to do a little polishing, some revamping. So we hope you enjoy this classic episode.
Thank you guys so much for following us on this journey so far. We appreciate it. Don't worry, things will still be coming out each week, but we'll do some classics and then brand new, fresh stuff for 2024. We're really excited.
Can't wait. Keep on living and keep on loving. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello
and welcome.
Welcome to Rainbow Dreamcatcher,
the Love Podcast. This is where we talk about all things love and relationships.
Yeah, so we'll dive in and get to the heart of some of these matters and different topics and ideas that surround love and relationships and all the things and spaces in between.
Yep. I'm Nilla, and I'm a marriage and family therapist and relationship coach. I have the privilege of traveling the world and helping folks to learn the skills they need to have healthy and happy relationships.
I am her loving husband, Big Sexy, here to, be a partner in this and also provide some brevity and levity and
laughter.
I'm a funny guy. We're funny people, but
so funny.
But yeah, I come at this from a non-relationship professional, as it were. I just have my own ideas and thoughts about the subject.
Yeah,
so
we're just talking.
We're just chatting about
about love and relationships and all the things. The other fun thing is that we are taking questions and topics from our friends, our family, listeners, viewers. So
everybody.
There's something that you want to hear us talk about, let us know.
We'll give you all the social medias at the end of this.
We'll give it all the ways to reach us.
Way to find out how to get a hold of us and send us the stuff.
But today we have an interesting topic. We're going to talk about, let's see, drum roll. We're going to talk about one-night stands, fuck buddies, booty calls, and friends with benefits.
Yes.
So if you've ever heard us tell our story, you know that it actually didn't have that fairy tale beginning. We kind of didn't really, we weren't really vibing at all.
That is an understatement.
Yeah, there was really not a whole lot of
or maybe it was. I mean, I guess it depends on the fairy tale. I guess it depends on which fairy tale you're talking about.
Well, the fairy tale starts with, I really am not terribly interested in this person at all, and I really wish they would go away. Then, yeah.
And that's that fairy tale beginning.
Then that's, I guess, the fairy tale beginning.
We don't have that romanticized love at first sight.
No, it's definitely not love at first sight.
Type of relationship.
No. Or second sight, or third sight. Or 10th sight, nothing like that. Yeah. No, so how does it intersect with what we're talking about today?
If we fast forward past our initial meetings, and skip to the part where we became friends, right? Because that's kind of where
it all started.
This aspect of that story starts,
right? Yeah, right. So once we became friends, we've actually, when we tell people our story, we kind of joke that we are a failed one night stand,
right?
And then when I started actually researching this topic, it turns out that we were wrong. We are not a failed one-night stand. We don't fall on that end of the spectrum. We actually fall on the friends with benefits end of the spectrum.
Right. Well, we knew we became friends with benefits. We were careful. Yeah, then we became friends with benefits.
Yeah, but that was never the intention.
But prior to the hookup, it's not really a booty call because
definitely wasn't a booty call.
It wasn't a mutual, hey, let's just meet up to hook up.
Yeah, no, there was no specific, we're meeting up intently just to do this thing that we doing.
And we'll discuss it later, but I'm pretty sure that's what kind of like booty call and friends with benefits, that's where they have the most crossover.
Well, let's talk about the definitions, because when I was researching it, a big thing that, first we're talking about was how do you define these things?
Right.
So I did a little bit of research on my Psychology Today. And there are 4 studies, actually, that most of the stuff we're going to talk about today kind of is drawn from. It seemed like the most credible studies.
Right.
The first was The Arc of Love, How Our Romantic Lives Change Over Time. That's by A. Ben-Ziev.
Okay.
Then there was Positioning the Booty Call Relationship on the Spectrum of Relationships, and that's really where we get some of our definitions.
Right.
That was from a 2011 study by P.K. Jonathan et al. And then there was a Journal of Psychology and Sexuality. Pulled a few from there, including Australian women talking about non-romantic sex.
Okay.
And then
that's I can't wait to dive into that one.
Yeah, it was really interesting, actually. And then the last one was Taking Casual Sex Not Too Casually, Exploring Definitions of Casual Sexual Relationships. And that was from the Canadian Journal of Human Sexuality, J.J. Wentland and E.D. Reesing.
Freaky deaky Canadians.
Now these, except for the 2019 study, are primarily from like the mid-2000s, 2011, the mid-aughts.
Right.
So, some of this is going to be updated. Some of this, obviously the study was around Tinder and how Tinder first kind of started to invade the dating scene and how it changed the dating scene.
Right, because as the advent of dating apps and things of that nature started to grow.
Yeah.
And kind of foster those relationships.
Yep.
Studies had to be done.
Yeah. So let's talk about the definitions. One night stands, booty calls, fuck buddies, and friends with benefits. This was the most clear definition I could find.
All right.
The first is that a one night stand is the most superficial encounter. It involves the least emotionally intimate experience, and it often takes place between 2 strangers or after just a brief acquaintance, right?
Yeah.
So that's why we didn't really fit in that category.
Because we were friends.
By that time, we were actually friends.
Yeah, that's kind of situation where, if you
you across a crowd,
if you do the Hollywood version of it, where
Right.
I'm at a conference,
right?
I see a beautiful woman at the bar, I go to buy her a drink, cut to the scene of us having sex in the hotel room,
right,
and then
we don't really know
never see each other ever
we
again.
never see each other again, right? And then there are booty calls, and booty calls refer to communication that is initiated with the specific intent to just hook it up together.
We had a couple of those. Once we became friends with benefits, I remember sometimes when you were living with...
Well, but let's talk about the difference, right? Because there's booty calls, which is where that is the specific intent of the relationship, right?
Oh, of the whole relationship.
Of the whole relationship.
You were
right?
only time we
definitions.
chill about. I call you when I want sex, and that's it.
Right. That's why we're talking the definitions, right? So defining booty
as
calls
opposed to the act,
as opposed to just the act, right? The nature of the relationship is that I'm calling you for some booty. That's what it is, right? And that's all it is.
That's all it is.
Calling you for some booty.
And once we're done, get out.
Once done, get out. Now,
don't
when
leave your shit
booty
here.
calls become frequent, right? That's when you become fuck buddies.
Right.
Again, the nature of the relationship is primarily sexual. It's about the frequency of the relationship.
But you might hang out. Like that might be a fuck buddy term. Like you might hang out. Like there's a party you want to go to, and you want to be sure to get sex that night. So you and your fuck buddy might attend the party and then go fuck.
Well, let me tell you the definition. The definition says that for a fuck buddy, you're already friends, but the friendship is largely limited to sexual interactions.
Right.
Right. So you're friends, but like you're not like hanging out.
Right. You're not hanging. You're not going to the
basis
fair.
of your friendship.
You're not going to feria together.
No.
Right.
The basis of your friendship, and feria, in case anybody wants to know, is Spanish for fair. It's just fair. Right. But the basis of the relationship is just sexual interaction. And then there's friendship with sexual benefits, which is the most profound activity.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, profound.
That's what it says. And that just says that it is a casual sexual relationship in which the friendship is the primary driver, and then the sexual relationship is the benefit of that friendship. It's not the focus.
That was definitely us.
That was definitely us, right?
Yeah,
so, we've been telling people we're a failed one night stand. It was a lie.
We're not.
We are not.
No, I wouldn't say we're a failed anything. I wouldn't attack on the failed.
Well, it was a joke.
No, I get that, but I mean, right.
So speaking of though, so then the question becomes, how successful are these relationships in turning into long-term relationships? I'm going to let you guess. What is the number one of those 4 structures?
Okay.
Number one, most likely to turn into a long-term relationship.
To turn into a long-term relationship?
Long-term relationship. All of them have the potential, but which
Right.
one more frequently, according to the research?
My knee-jerk says friends with benefits.
Yeah, you would think, right?
Right, because you're already friends,
Mhm.
and then you've included the intimate aspect of it. So, but on the flip side, I know that people marvel at how we progressed into it,
Mm-hmm.
and that tells me that might not be, because that's how we went.
So is that your guess then? Is
So
it
my
friends
no,
benefits?
I'm gonna say fuck buddies.
Okay, yeah, still wrong.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, actually, surprisingly, one night stand.
Wait, out of all those four,
one
night stands has a
night
higher
stands
probability.
has a higher probability.
To turn into-
27% of one night stands turn into long-term relationships.
Yeah, I would
Up
have
to
never
and including
guessed
marriage. Now, here's the interesting part of that research, right? Because, well, let's keep this guessing game going. Why would you suppose? Guess. Why do you think that that's true? What do you think, Layman? What do you think?
Well, I would assume that in the study, right? If you take people, after asking folks who started off as a one night stand,
Mm-hmm.
right, and then turned into a long term relationship,
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if a lot of the people who took part in the study may not have had the clarity of what that meant.
Oh, yeah.
What one night stand meant.
Mm-hmm.
So, but even with that, I think that people underestimate the intimacy of sex
Mm-hmm.
and how that turns, how easily that can turn into a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's kind of it's along those lines. The second part, not the first part.
Right.
But according to the study, one night stands are more likely to turn into long-term relationships because fuck buddies and booty calls don't spend time after the sexual encounter. They leave almost immediately.
Right.
So they don't spend the night. They don't do a whole lot of intimate engagement or conversation. And the thought is, because one night stands, there are no expectations. And I don't ever plan to see this person again. If y'all can't hear that, that's Fox that's barking in the
That's
background.
a little doggy.
It's a little doggy. I don't know why he's barking, but they turn into long-term relationships because there are no expectations. And so people are often freer to be themselves. They feel freer sexually to be themselves because there are no expectations. So they often have better sexual encounters. And because they don't have an expectation of seeing this person again, there's actually more intimate activity. Things like foreplay, things like, sharing of information and intimate parts of the other person, because there's no expectation I'm going to see this person again, so I can tell them anything.
Right. But then you
now I don't know, now you're stuck. Now you're in that intimate connection. So that's just what it is. Yeah. So so what ends up happening then is that unexpectedly people find that they have this really wonderful connection. One, they're having great sex because they're much more free to be themselves without any expectations.
Right.
Two, because they're not going to see this person again, they are fine sharing more intimate details about themselves. Mm-hmm. And because one night stands tend to spend the night, drinking or hanging out or, whatever, multiple sexual encounters throughout the night, because again, we're not having an expectation.
Right.
Folks have a tendency to share more.
What I would be interested in is wondering is how many of those
turned into marriages.
Yeah.
That's the other thing is they didn't define what long-term meant in those studies. I didn't actually get a chance to delve into that too deeply, but I noticed that was missing from the definition.
Right.
So, I mean, who knows what they mean when they say long-term? It didn't say necessarily marriage, which is fine. Not everybody's got to get married.
They can be boyfriend, girlfriend for quite some time or whatever, or engaged.
But on the whole,
interesting.
27% apparently turn into long-term partnerships in this very unexpected way, whereas fuck buddies and friends with benefits and others don't, even though friends with benefits do typically remain friends.
Right. Mm-hmm. I usually think the friends with benefits because they're not in a committed relationship, but they have sexual needs. Mm-hmm. So, and they're comfortable and cool with somebody.
Right.
So they hook up. But then one or the other gets in a committed relationship.
Right. That's usually what ends up ending those.
Right. And then that situation has to cease. Right. That version of that situation has to cease.
Yeah. So
right.
So that has a tendency to end that when, someone meets someone who they actually want to commit to.
Right.
So we actually were in the lowest category for successful relationships. Right. The friends with benefits, even though I'd like to think we would still been friends.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure we'd still been friends.
Yeah.
I think so as well. Yeah.
We wouldn't be in Bucharest, but
we definitely wouldn't be in Bucharest, but we also wouldn't have experienced Spain either. So I'm really happy with it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Very much so.
I would be very disappointed if you said you were not happy with
it. Man, I was really hoping we could have just stayed with friends with benefits.
Y'all about to see a fight on podcast.
Now between as I said earlier, between fuck buddies and booty calls.
Yeah.
Right? Like that seems to have the most overlap.
It does, and the difference, at least in terms of how they define it in these studies, has to do with the frequency. Right. So the basis of the relationship is the same, right? Booty call is just infrequent and fuck buddy is frequent. But the basis of that is that their primary connection is sexual.
Right. So if you're. So I guess
that's the progression of the spectrum, right? One night stand where there's no expectation of intimacy or reconnection. Booty call where there is, regular but infrequent connection. Fuck buddies where there is regular, frequent connection of a sexual nature, and then friends with benefits where y'all are friends, where the friendship is the basis of the connection, but sex is added as a bonus.
Right. Now, what of the four, which ideally before we got together, did what? Okay, and prior to your marriage, did you prefer, or did you have an image of?
I didn't really. I was serial monogamist. Yeah. Well, yes and no, right? So I'm poly. So I was in a polyamorous marriage before.
Right.
But even within polyamory, I really prefer those long-term stable relationships. So I didn't have a lot of hookups. Like I would have, other partners, but they'd be long-term partners. So, and none of those were based on sex or just sexuality, sex. Like not just sex. No. Right. So
no fuck buddies and
I'm trying to think. It's so long ago. Not intentionally, right? Like when I was much younger, I really, really desperately wanted to be in committed partnerships.
Okay.
That was like my jammy jam. That's where I wanted to be. Like I wanted soulmates. Like we are fated to be together in the stars, kind of thing. So I didn't do a lot of the random hookups, and I also think that's just kind of my makeup. That's my nature generally.
Right. I would say that.
Yeah, it's just not really my deal. Not that it's wrong for anybody else.
No judgment here.
Y'all should do whatever is true and right for you. Right. But for me, I think I would fall more into the serial, long-term, committed partnership arena of almost every relationship, and that's true across the board, right? Like when I meet people that I really like, I want us to be friends for life.
Right.
When I am engaged in relationship, I want us to be together forever. So I mean, that's just maybe kind of who I am.
Oh, nice. A professional belief.
Yeah. Same question. With bated breath.
I'm interested because I've always romanticized things like fuck buddies and booty calls.
Mm-hmm. Romanticized how?
In the fact that I always wanted it. I thought it'd be amazing to be in those kind of situations.
Yep.
I think I learned at an early age. That's why that one article you mentioned really intrigues me. Mm-hmm. The separation between romance and sex. Mm-hmm. Like I thought I could have one without the other.
Yeah. You want to hear what some of them said?
Yeah.
I mean, continue your answer. But while you do that,
so of the four, my preferred, I would probably be friends with benefits. Because I'm very heavy on friendships. If you know me, and those who know me, like I'm huge on friendship. I want to be your friend and hang out. I also tend to romanticize friendships in the sense that friends mean a lot more to me. I think it's because I grew up as an only child.
Yeah, that's probably true.
The friends mean a lot more to me than they seem to do to most.
Mm-hmm.
I hold that on a higher value scale in my own personal beliefs. So friends with benefits always feels ideal to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the prospects of the openness that friends with benefits provides.
Yeah.
Right. The opportunity to engage in other sexual encounters if you find yourself in those situations,
Mm-hmm.
because it doesn't have that commitment requirement.
You want to hear what Australian women said about it?
Oh yeah, tell me what the Aussies.
Here's what the Aussies said.
Aussie broadzies.
Let's see. They just had a couple of highlights. Let's see. Having one night FWBs, right? Having one night stands provides sexual satisfaction without the constraints of a relationship. At the end of the day, I'm still sexually satisfied, but I'm not in a relationship because I don't want to be. These men are just going to be a one night stand, and they're not the kind of person that you would be interested in pursuing anything like a relationship with. They're just people I want to have sex with. That's from Jacqueline in Australia.
All right.
Jackie in Australia.
Yeah, see, on the flip side of that, well, not the flip side. Remember I said you romanticize also one night stands, because I thought it'd be intriguing. But again, I love movies.
Yeah.
And so cinema showed me a lot of going to a random bar, meeting the beautiful protagonist or whatever, and being taken back to the hotel room and hooking up or whatever. But then I know me, and I would want to continue contact after, right? So the idea of one night stand,
so
at the beginning, but fuck buddy,
got it. Yeah,
is much more in term or booty call. Yeah.
Well, you'd be the nightmare of Australian women because they're saying absolutely not. This is this is from Daisy.
Big section, the nightmare of Australian
women. It says, Daisy, I don't go out with the aim of bringing anyone home. It's kind of a lucky surprise. And if we had sex and both enjoyed it and had a cuddle and then parted on the same, that was great. See you later. That's good. And then it's always very random. So that's nice. It's not like it's Friday night, so I have to hook with somebody and then it's done. Yeah.
Yeah, but I also think that
I have only one rule for one night stands. It's got to be someone you've never seen before and will never see again. Once I follow that, it's all good. Yeah, they seem pretty uniform.
I would like to hear the flip side of Australian men, right?
Yeah, I don't have that.
Yeah, no, but you know,
I do wonder though, because it's interesting because almost all these articles came from the perspective of cisgendered women.
Right.
I wonder how that's different for cisgendered men and also for non-binary folks, LGBTQ folks.
Right.
Like, I'd say that's probably necessarily different. Definitely different.
I would think so, but but there has to be overlap.
Oh, there's always overlap.
Right, there has to be tons of overlap.
Right? No matter what, humans are humans. Like, we all want connection.
People are people, so why should it be different if your sister LGBT?
Yeah, that's not a song.
LGBT.
So
it will be.
So yeah,
that's what I do.
So I don't know.
Now from okay, so I've always, in case you can't tell by my voice, I'm a cis man. You couldn't tell that I was cis by my voice, but I am a cisgendered man, heterosexual. And I've always had the assumption, I'll call it assumption versus the belief, that women have it easier in that one night stand aspect because so many guys, at least guys that I know, also want that, and all they're looking for is the yes. So if a woman gives them the yes, like I've been, so society has trained me to assume, not believe, I don't really quite believe it, but assume that most guys, especially in a club situation and dating situation, are only looking for one night stands.
Yeah, I don't see, easier is a relative term, right? Because like, is there probably more options and opportunities? Yes. The challenge, and I don't know, this is speaking as a person that has been in the American dating scene.
Right.
It's like, I don't know, maybe this dude will kill me.
Right. The threat of death.
There's there's just so much violence
is a layer on it. Right.
That, that whole idea that it's just easier. I mean, it's different, right? But like, you're also probably not thinking that, this person that says yes to me might also really, really want to harm me.
Right.
So there's a vetting process that I think has to take place.
Right. Yeah, it's
there's
vastly
a
different for
kinda
men and
checking
women,
in. Yeah,
and
so
it's while it may be easier for a woman to get tail,
more opportunity.
while maybe more opportunity, there's more opportunity for a woman to get tail.
Mhm.
It's also more dangerous.
I think that's the leveler right there.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Right,
what makes it different.
Because it's not easy for a guy, but that's because men are dangerous.
Have you ever been on Tinder?
I've never been on any dating app.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's not true. I formed a profile on Plenty of Fish.
Mm-hmm. I did Plenty of
I'm
Fish.
showing my age now by saying Plenty of Fish, but yes,
it's still around, right?
I don't know.
I think it's. I hear people talk about POF.
I'm assuming listeners let us know. Plenty of Fish is still around. We're pretty sure it's still there. But is it prevalent, right?
I did all of them. I did Plenty of Fish. I did Match.com. I did OkCupid.
I thought about trying to do, what was the eHarmony?
I did not do eHarmony.
I didn't know any of the ones that had to pay.
I
thought that was stupid.
Did I try Bumble? I think early days of Bumble.
I think by Bumble, I'd given up.
Yeah, you know what I really hated about those dating apps, honestly, was the series of questions. I just thought that like the more questions you answered, like the better the matches were.
Right.
And no, it was just a series of questions.
Yeah.
It was just more and more questions. I think there was one. It was probably OkCupid actually, or no, probably Plenty of Fish actually. Where I'd answer something like 75 or 80 questions. I was like, what the hell? And then they would match me with somebody that was like so absolutely not at all anything close to anybody I was looking to date. It was like, this is ridiculous.
And I never saw myself as somebody who, for generalization of this term, would swipe right on. Right? And swipe right is when you accept. Yeah, swipe right is accept. Swipe left is they left. Right? I always feel that no matter what image I put up, no matter what I wrote, right? And I'm a poet. I can write very eloquently, or whatever. But I never felt that I would be somebody with swipe, or more accurate is that somebody that I would want to be involved with would be the type of person to swipe right on.
Yeah,
I think my standards of what I was looking for were different than the standards of what was looking for me. I always believed that I had a knack for desiring the unattainable. For me. For me. What I found attractive did not find me attractive. Right? Like I look on racial scales, I used to say I was not black enough for black girls, and I was too black for white girls, and I didn't speak enough Spanish. For any of the Latin American,
for any Asian girls,
and right.
Yeah, I don't know that I didn't think I was attractive enough to find matches. I figured I've always thought of myself as, not to be like conceited, but I've always thought of myself as fairly attractive.
Fine, y'all.
I'm pretty fine.
My wife is fine.
I'm pretty fine. But yeah, so I never had that like issue of like I don't feel pretty or I don't feel attractive enough or I don't think anybody would be interested in me. Right. I always I find it hard for me to find people that I am actually attracted to. I think that I look at people and I can say things like, oh, that person's conventionally beautiful, or that person is like, I can see in the wider world that they're an attractive person. But I don't know what the weird combination is, especially looking back over my dating history, what the weird combination is that makes me go like, oh yeah, that person. Like it seems like it just takes a lot for me to actually be attracted to a particular person.
I would love to see a Venn diagram of all the people you dated. And I'm in there as well.
Yeah, right.
Obviously. And what, if any, the overlap is between us all.
Well, I can already tell you. Yeah. One overlap is humor.
Okay.
Like I like people that are fun, that are funny. I like people that are kind of out there in front socially. Because it's not really my vibe, but it's a vibe that I admire. Like when people can be kind of like out front and kind of like in social community and like engaged in social community in that kind of way. I find that super attractive. Physically, I mean, there's just like a huge wide range. I mean, I've dated like everybody, right? So, like I'm the pan of all the pans, right? So, yeah. So it's hard for me to figure out what shifts that from like a casual interest to like a serious interest.
Okay.
Right. So, yeah, so I feel like I always look at people like with almost like an objective remove, like, oh, okay, that person's attractive from over there, you know,
Right.
and I don't know what makes them like, oh, this person's attractive, like sitting right next to me, oh, booty call. Like,
Right.
I don't know what that thing is.
I got you.
Yeah.
So it's funny. My friend Scott, shout out to Scott Heffler. We were friends for a while, and he said he's in the military, so I'm sure this is why he gave this analogy.
Mm-hmm.
He said we're both on the same side.
Mm-hmm.
We're both in the same unit, but he's a sniper,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm a machine gunner.
Okay.
In terms of relationships, seeking relationships.
Okay, got it.
He said he would be patient. He'd find one person he really liked.
The whole violence thing.
And, right. It is. I've been trying to find another analogy that fits, but fortunately, this one really fits really well.
Mm-hmm.
He would find one person he really, really liked,
mm-hmm.
and would dissect and figure out how to get to that person
mm-hmm.
and get that person.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I'm a social butterfly. I'm out there and I'm open, and I'm aiming at targets.
Anybody.
Right? And it fits. Like I was, the people say, yeah, you got a breath. You got a breath and boobs.
Wow.
That's
flattering. I feel very flattered right
when
now.
I was younger, right? That and when I was
breathing, ladies and gentlemen.
And you had breasts. I mean, don't discount the boobs.
I blinked and I moved.
And bounced. No.
Wow. Keep digging.
Look, I'm improv. I'm full commitment. No, but like when I was dirt dating and trying to
dating. You were dirt dating.
No. Yes. No. When I was trying to date,
mm-hmm.
actively trying to date.
Yes.
I was attracted to a lot of people,
mm-hmm.
several people at the same time,
mm-hmm.
simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of those I would get a lot of rejection.
Okay.
So I know that when I get a lot of rejection, so I said, well, let me start to hedge my bets, as it were.
Doing the after thing, right? Just keep auditioning.
Keep auditioning.
Sure.
Go right, like an actor will go to one audition and hope then that's a job they got to get.
So maybe the next one is struggling actor versus thespian. I'm looking for that one perfect role. Versus like I'm hitting up auditions.
I'm hitting the streets, right? I'm hitting the streets.
I like that better.
I like that analogy better than
let's do that one.
The military, because I'm a big fan of guns and all that kind of bullshit. Yeah, that's a great analogy. Yes, young actor. I'm audition. Even if I go to this audition, the next thing I'm doing is an audition.
Yeah.
Whereas I have been in the field and on stage.
Yeah.
I've been on stage. I want that role. I'm only going to audition for that role. That's the role that I want.
Yeah.
So that was my dating history when I was younger.
Yeah. You want to hear some dating stories from our friend Bree?
Yes.
Yeah, from Bree sent us some dating stories.
Shout out to Bree Reed. Appreciate you.
And I just want to point out, these are not Bree's stories specifically. Bree did a little bit of investigative reporting for us throughout the UK.
Thank you very much. Yep.
Appreciate you. And so
reached out to her friends.
Anonymous folks, but we wanted to hear stories of hookups, booty calls, all that good stuff.
And if you have a hookup or a story or a booty call story, we'd love to hear those as well. You can shoot us an email at rainbowdreamcatchertlp@gmail.com. And we'd love to hear those stories as well. We'll read those stories on air and react to them. So what's the first one?
So let's do hookup first. So this one is labeled hookup. There are several stories. This one says, I went for a drink with a guy for a first date. He told me and showed me all the photos of his dog and asked me if I wanted to meet the dog at his flat.
Smooth.
And I went, and the dog loved me. And we ended up moving things to the bedroom. After 2 hours, I checked my phone for the time and found 10 missed calls from my mom, 3 missed calls from my dad, 4 voice messages from them both. One explaining that my dad had gone out searching for me.
Oh.
Several texts informing me they were going to call the police because I hadn't answered my phone. And when I answered the phone at approximately midnight, I was shouted at. And when I got home at about 1 a.m., my mother came downstairs from her bedroom to argue with me. And the arguing continued the day after, and the constant comments went on for a week. Well, that didn't sound great. I mean, the hookup sounded fine.
Yeah, like that took a turn.
That sounds more like a family issue. I don't know. That feels like a family issue as opposed to a hookup issue.
That starts to beg certain questions that aren't answered, like how old were you?
Yeah, that what's going on?
What's that family dynamic?
Well,
what's going on
had
there?
to be at least, I don't know, what's the UK? So at least 18, right?
No.
How old do you have to be to drink in the UK?
Oh, to drink?
I think 18 because we went out for drinks. So I'm gonna guess 18.
Maybe 18.
Maybe
okay.
18.
At least 18. Yeah.
That's at least 18. All right.
That makes sense to be able to drink and still be living with your parents.
So now this is from the same person, and this is a friends with benefits story.
Okay.
And that same person said, I was friends with benefits with two guys who were also best friends, and neither knew I was sleeping with the other.
Woo, that's a whole scene that
until I accidentally slipped up by calling one of them by the other's name. So that I'm sure worked out well.
These are labeled.
They're labeled. And
the first sentence fits the label.
Yep.
And then it takes a turn.
It takes a whole different turn.
It takes a whole different turn.
Isn't that life?
Isn't that crazy? Wow. So
you want to hear some more of these? Let's see where these go, because this is the first time I'm really reading them. You want to see it?
But I don't want to move ahead. I want to talk about that one real quick. Right. So friends with benefits.
Yep.
I don't think so.
Two guys who are also best friends.
Here's the deal. Yes. Right. If they don't know about it, that means you're not talking to your friend. Right.
Well, she's just not sharing everything with her friend, but they can still be friends without talking about the other people that they're hooking up with.
Yeah, I think that.
I mean, different rules, different disclosures.
I guess, yeah, but I think the friend part of that is I start having.
I mean, it didn't turn out friendly.
No, it didn't start out that way either. Like we didn't address you dating, you're having sex with two roommates, two buddies, two best friends, without them knowing it.
Without them knowing that makes me wonder why are y'all friends?
Why? Yeah, why come they weren't talking about it?
Are y'all for real friends? That's the real question.
Right. Right. Y'all best friends? How come y'all not talking about?
Her relationship is clear. Like, yeah. What's going on with you two?
Right. That part. So many. I love that each of these stories
offers another question.
Offers more questions.
Let's see. There's a couple more. Let's look at this. Here's a different one. I went for drinks with a guy who looked nothing like his Hinge pics. He was a very large 30-year-old man when he met me, and his pics were a skinny 18 to 25-year-old man.
Ooh.
So I called him a catfish. Well, damn. And told him he needed to update his pics. When he told me he didn't have any up-to-date pics of himself, we had a photo shoot on the date for him and updated his profile. Then he proceeded to ask me if he could kiss me at the end of the night, and I said no, obviously. It's the obviously for me.
It's the we gonna fix this so you can stop lying to people right now.
But you done already lied to me. So.
But you already lied to me, so no, you can't put your mouth on my mouth.
No, take your mouth someplace else.
Right.
Here's one. Here's a hookup story.
And that dude lying. I ain't got no current pictures of me. That's not true.
Well, number one, everybody got a camera phone.
Yeah, everybody got a phone. You got pictures of you.
You got pictures of you. You can take pictures of you.
Yeah.
You just didn't have any that you liked.
Yeah. You just never had somebody sit down and make sure you did it. You probably went back afterwards and deleted them.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. Here's a hookup story. I went to this guy's house for him to cook me dinner. He cooked me a lovely meal, and we ended up in his bed afterwards. Oh, that sounds great. I love
the way it starts.
Feed me. We do this thing. He didn't tell me that his bed was missing some wooden slats and was being propped up by boxes instead. The boxes moved underneath us, and I felt straight between the wooden slats in his bed, getting stuck. The only way out for him was for him to lift the bed up so I could move a box to get out.
Wow. So he had to lift the bed over her.
Yes.
Because she was stuck in a box.
She's stuck in a box. I mean,
you got to understand the structure of your bed if you're going to plan to
Well,
use
at
it.
least reinforce it, guy.
Right.
Come on now.
Right. Or, if you know your bed ain't sturdy, use a couch. Use,
Something else. Like different positions, folks.
kitchen sink. Make it work.
Make it work.
You
Make it
made
work.
dinner,
Here's a first date story. This guy would only ask questions regarding my quote unquote favorite things and then interrupt my answer to ask me for my top 3 instead. This went on for approximately 7 questions about random things like animals, brands of clothing, shoes, etc. Ended up having a drinking competition with the guy. Safe to say I won and then didn't speak to him ever again.
Did they hook up?
It just says first date.
Oh, first date. It's a first date.
It just says first date.
It's not a.
Here's another first date one. Went for dinner and drinks with the guy who spoke about his ex and also compared me to his ex.
Oh, that's a no-no. That's a no-no.
They broke up 2 years prior to our date, and he'd been on many dates since then.
And had learned not to do it?
Well, I mean, I'm sure he went on many dates because didn't nobody go out with him again.
Right. He had a lot of first dates.
Yeah, a lot of first dates, I suppose.
Wow.
That's pretty terrible. All right, well, sounds like dating sucks, guys.
Yeah. So now, where do you land on the not which one did you like when you were younger or whatever, but of those, which one sounds the most appealing?
Of those stories?
Of the 4 things we're discussing today.
Okay, you got to be more definitive. Of those things.
Of those things. Of fuck buddies, friends with benefits.
Oh, I gotta have a
one
preference?
night stand. You don't have to.
I think I told you earlier. I didn't really. None of them really appeal.
That's what I said. Not then.
Yes.
I'm asking as you have evolved and grown and relationships and stuff like.
Yeah, no. I mean, if that were the case, if we're talking about like where I'm at right now, then certainly friends with benefits would be.
And do we recommend if people? How to navigate? How do you navigate? What's the best way to navigate those type of relationships? That's interesting
because I think that we navigated our friends with benefits relationship really well. And I think the way that we navigated that and the reason it was so successful, not that, staying together is necessarily the measure of success, but I mean, it was a good relationship.
Right.
It was a good relationship while we were in the relationship, and it was a good relationship that evolved from that, right? And I think the main thing was that we had clear communication. And we had really clear boundaries. Like there wasn't any kind of guesswork about what this relationship is it or is it not heading in any particular direction.
Right. We never had those kind of conversations.
We didn't try to make it more than what it was. We didn't try to dismiss the importance of what it was. I think we were just very upfront and honest. And because we were upfront and honest, neither one of us had any kind of hidden agenda.
Right.
And when things changed, we communicated to each other.
Right.
And I think that was true throughout the relationship. I mean, I think there was a time period when I was like, I'm tired. I got to go to work and stuff. So you can't come over so much.
Right. Right. Yes.
But just having that kind of communication as opposed to being like, oh, didn't this dude get up tired? Always over in my face.
I sleep. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think we navigated that pretty well. Probably now is a good time to do our question.
Yeah, let's get into the question.
And you can choose. We've got a few to choose from, so pick whichever one you think fits.
All right.
Thanks, guys, for sending in questions. We really appreciate you sending those in. If you have any questions as a result of this podcast, please go ahead and put them in the comments or go ahead and send it to us directly at rainbowdreamcatchertlp@gmail.com. It's one way to do it. You can hit us up on Instagram. You can hit us up on TikTok. All the socials.
I think this one cuts close because it doesn't take the personal aspect towards what we're just talking about. This question comes from our friend Jana. Yeah. Out in Malaga. Yeah. She's in Seville, but in Malaga, whatever. She writes, how do you shift away from desperately wanting a relationship when nothing seems to work out? Right. So let's say the way I interpret that, right? You have had these friends with benefits or fuck buddy situation, but you really want a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
And how do you shift away from desperately wanting that, or do you?
Yeah, you know, the way I would think about that, number one, I totally get that. I remember being at a phase in my dating life where I really, really wanted to have that kind of someone special, and I didn't have that someone special.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt really like difficult and lonely. I almost, I'm not saying this is true for everybody, but for me, I would look at like happy couples in like Hiss.
Right. Right. I remember like, oh, look at that love over there. Yeah. Isn't it nice now to be the couple that other people hiss at?
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know?
We'll take your hisses. We love it.
Yeah, but no. So I totally get wanting, really wanting something that's not materializing. And kind of despairing as to whether it is ever going to materialize for me.
Did you make a shift away from those feelings, or did that relationship find you?
You know, I think it's both, right? I think the first thing that's really important is that it's okay to want those things. It's okay to, you know, want human connection. It's okay to want to be in a relationship. There's actually really nothing wrong with that.
Right.
I think what needs to happen though is that you have to make sure that you're super, super kind to yourself.
Right.
Right. And that, you know, I think for me, it was very easy for me to fall into this idea like, what's wrong with me? Or why doesn't anybody like me? Or, you know, that kind of thing. And what I realized was that I was just being super, super unkind to myself. Right. And so I would turn that critical eye, and instead of turning the critical eye to like the folks that were out there, which by the way, there weren't a lot of great people. I wasn't meeting a lot of great people. Right. So it wasn't like there were all these wonderful people that I was meeting. And then like, there's just this wealth of, you know, eligible, you know, folks. And
was an episode of The Bachelor?
No.
There's a guy walking up with a single rose, but like, Nilla, we're here for you.
Yeah, no. I realized that a lot of the folks I was meeting, I wasn't connecting with people because they weren't the right person for me anyway.
Right.
And I had to be really careful to make sure I kept that critical eye outwards as opposed to turning it inwards and being like, what's wrong with me? Why am I not attractive enough? Am I not smart? Am I not fun enough? Right? Like, what's wrong that other people don't? It's not anything wrong with you, but it is important to know that like we're two human beings or three human beings or however many human beings you want to be in a relationship, bouncing around the world on different paths with different experiences, coming together at different points in time. And so it's kind of hard in that kind of bouncy ball house of relationships to find someone that really matches my rhythm.
Right.
So I have to be patient, but more importantly, I have to be really, really super kind, because being unkind to me doesn't help that situation at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fully understand, because I was single for a long time.
How long is long?
Well,
I ain't never really been single.
No, but I was single.
It's really, but I've always been. That's weird. I've always been dating somebody.
So in high school, I never dated. I didn't get my first quote unquote girlfriend until a girl named Nina when I was 20.
Okay.
But it was long distance. I was in California. I was in Southern California in Fontana, and she was up in Central California in Fresno.
I was going to say Canada.
No.
She was in Canada.
You know,
you have my girlfriend Nina in Canada.
In Canada. No, she was in Fresno. We met because of mutual friends. We talked on the phone, whatever. We'd hooked up like once or twice. But then after her, nothing for 7 years.
You been dating anybody for 7 years?
7 years, and then
not even like hookups or anything.
No hookups or anything. Not even close. I tried, not for lack of effort.
Yeah.
But then there were a few hookups here and there. Nothing that blossomed into a relationship until I met my next girlfriend. Was Jen. Shout out to Jen. And by then that was in the early 90s. I was working at McKinley's Children's Center, and we were co-workers. Yep. And then after her, but no relationship lasted over a year. Okay. I think she lasted about a year.
What ended that relationship?
She moved to Pennsylvania.
Oh, well, that was
she moved back to Hershey. Yeah. We just had different, and we knew. We knew that the breakup was going to happen eventually. Yeah. I've mostly always been social limelight type of person, and she was very much want to be on a home on a farm,
Mm-hmm.
surrounded by animals.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm so
Animals don't clap, ladies and
no,
gentlemen.
they look at you weird while they're chewing shit. And yeah, and then it dated a few here and there, but nothing long term, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I just about, I had gone the route of I said, you know what, I'm just gonna accept my fate in life. What if it happens, great. If it doesn't, But I'm gonna stop stressing over it, because I used to really stress over it. I did the whole "what is wrong with me?" What's what the common denominator of all these breakups is me. So what's wrong with me? What do I got to fix? What do I need to change? And I went, you know what? No, but I had enough people, friends, and again, listen to your tribe, right? A lot of people, no, you're great. You're good. You'll find the right person. You just gotta stop with whatever. And I said, I'm gonna stop. I'm just gonna go and let things progress as they progress. Not try to force anything. Not try to, date every single person I see. Just let things progress as they progress. And so yeah, the way I dealt with that and figured that out was, I said, I'm just gonna let life be life.
Yeah.
And take what comes.
Yeah.
And be okay with that.
And I think the advice is right. You don't know when these people will either be in your life or reveal themselves from your life, and you can't know, right? And I think that's the hard part, is that we always want to know what the future is going to hold.
If you'd have told us when we first met each other, if somebody else was at that birthday party
and said
and look back, did this, like look back at you, looked at me, look back, so you guys are going to get together. You're
going to be married. You're going to travel the world together.
Yeah, we laughed in their face. You might have punched them in the throat.
I would have not wanted that. I would just not even laughed. I would have scoffed. This is stupid.
Pushaw.
Stupid human.
Yeah, you are dumb. You're absolutely dumb. And honestly, that actual thing happened when we were friends with benefits.
Yeah.
People were long-term shipping us. And I was very much like, no, this is going to, I was positive this was going to end.
It's going to end at some point.
Positive this was going to end. I was like, nope, she's going to find a school that she wants to go to, and it's not going to be here. It's going to be further away. I was trying to go to school
at the time we were dating. I was just starting my therapy school journey.
And you hated Vegas.
I hated Vegas.
And I love Vegas.
I don't know why.
Yeah. And that's going to be that. And I'm like, that's going to be it.
Yeah.
That's what's going to break this apart. That was one I was reluctant to enter into a relationship, which I think may have helped, actually, because I didn't try to rush things.
Well, neither one of us were really. I had just gotten divorced, so I was not trying to rush into any kind of relationship with anybody, you or anybody else. And I was pretty determined I was not going to be in any relationship.
Right, and I was like, and I completely understood that.
Oh yeah.
Right, I'm like, no, that's where her space is, and I'm not even going to push it. I'm not going to pursue it because I'm kind of happy with the way things were. And it's funny, that's how our relationship progressed.
Yeah.
I'm kind of happy with the way things are.
Yeah.
Are we shifting here? I guess we've shifted.
Yeah.
I'm kind of happy with the way this is going.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah.
Yeah. So I hope that answers the question then, which is, allow life to find you. And while it is finding you, try to be super kind.
Be kind to yourself.
To you. And let other people be kind to you. Let your friends gas you up and tell you like all the good things about you. One, they're telling you the truth.
Yeah, they really are.
And two, sometimes life takes its time, and good, because you want to find quality.
Yeah, and you don't want to end up in what you assume is a great situation with the wrong person, because then that's not a great situation.
Yeah, that part.
Right, and so I fully believe the right person who gets you and you get will find you, and you'll work towards it. It'll be a work in progress.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, thank you very much again, Jana, for the question.
Yeah,
we appreciate that. Again, as Nilla said, if you want to send in questions, hit us up on Instagram or X or Thread or
TikTok
or Gmail. Rainbow Dreamcatcher, the Love Podcast, Rainbow Dreamcatcher TLP. Search for those and you'll find us there. But we do thank you all for tuning in and enjoying us.
If you're interested in relationship coaching of any type, you can hit me up on my website. That's thepolyplace.com, ThePoly place.com. I've got a lot of great material there. You can listen in. You can also check me out on YouTube on Colorful Connections, which is my YouTube channel. And hope to see you guys soon.
Thank y'all very much. Take care.
Thank you.
Hey.
Bye.